You need some water or something?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I need to go
What's that?
to the restroom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Can I go real quick?
Yeah. Go to the restroom. Go
Yeah.
do what you got to do.
Give me 5 seconds.
Yeah. Whatever. I'll sing or something. All right, everybody. Welcome out to the Are We Where Yet podcast. Here's another episode, I believe it's number 4. Episode 4. I'm your host, Johnny, and we are recording live here at the Cress. If you don't know what the Cress is, it's a venue. It's a nightclub. It's one of the coolest buildings in downtown Yuma, and we are live here because we have the owner of the Cress, Robby Rodriguez. Right?
That's right.
All right. What's up, Robby? How you doing?
Good. Great. How are you doing?
I'm doing
I didn't
good.
know we can call you Johnny. I've been calling you Jonathan.
It's cool. Like I try to get sophisticated for a while.
Uh-huh.
I try to do the Jonathan thing.
I was like, should I call him John or Johnny? Now, or, now I can call him Johnny.
Yeah. So like the Johnny Awesome is what I was going by for a long time.
I've heard of that.
And the thing about it was it was like we're all awesome. So like my shirts were like crossed out Johnny and it said I am awesome. Like everybody's awesome. Just claim it,
Right.
And people thought I was arrogant. So I kind of try to put that behind me. But anyway, I'm still doing the Johnny Awesome things. That's how
good.
most people know me. I was actually going to run for city council.
Really?
That's it.
Well, it's anybody can do that if they have the right intentions,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So anyway, Robby is our guest because he is a firefighter turned business owner, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's quite a leap going from, did you save lives?
I've been part of a team that has,
Part of a team.
Yeah. Because we do everything in the fire department as a team. Nobody does anything alone. So.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
part of the way the fire department works. It's teamwork. It's not
Yes.
one person saves a life and gets the glory.
Right.
It's we all do it together. Whatever we got to do.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go save some lives.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So we'll talk about it. The first business that you started to own was Creatines, right?
Well, no, the first business I ever owned was called R&J Karaoke.
Okay.
It was right at when I was before U of A, but it was called R&J Karaoke. We were actually the first locally owned karaoke business in town. It was me and my cousin Jeremy Tony, and it was funded by Joe Curtine that gave me the money to buy all the equipment for it, and we did just about every bar in town.
Okay. So who's Joe Curtine? Explain
That
to
is
us.
my grandfather's brother.
Grandfather's brother.
Uh-huh.
So who was the original owner of this place, Creatines?
My great grandfather and grandmother.
Great grandfather, great grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
They owned a business called Creatines. It's a Mexican food restaurant here in Yuma, Arizona, since 1946.
Right. That's kind of like when it got established. But when my grandfather and my Uncle Joe got back from the war, from World War II, was 1946. So before then, it was a dance hall kind of thing, and they had three or four tables they would serve food on, and
So there was something before.
Yeah, it was in the 40s, the early 40s, and then when my grandfather and my Uncle Joe got back from being in the war, they started working it, and it kind of established in 46.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the same location that it was?
Well, it was they're back on 15th Avenue, 14th Avenue, and it was the whole building was made of adobe. Mm-hmm. So it was my great grandmother, her house. She actually lived at the restaurant. She had a house, and they kind of built on it was a dance floor, so everybody would come eat and they would dance. That was the place to go back in the day.
And this is pre-1946.
This is 46. I mean, I've had some pictures of, a bunch of kids. I was showing my fire chief one time, a bunch of kids at Creatines at the dance hall. And he goes, there's my mother. There's my, I didn't even know.
Yeah.
So, it was a place to go back in the day.
Okay. So let's start from the journey, because this show is about your story, your journey in life. So you said your great grandfather, he's owned it. Then it went from your great grandfather to your grandfather?
To, both my grandfather Joe Curtine and Victor Curtine.
Joe Curtine,
yeah.
Victor Curtine. What's your grandfather's name?
Raymond.
Great. Okay. That's the great grandfather?
No, that's my grandfather.
Oh, grandfather. Okay. So, you worked in the restaurant as a kid.
Yeah, I'd say I'm 11 years old, going to the restaurant with my grandfather, bussing tables or doing whatever, running around that place.
Things are different then.
Yeah.
It's understandable. You're 11 years old. You're learning the family business, right?
It was more, hanging out with my grandfather because he was him along with my father are very big influences in my life to where hard work and determination and goals and dreams. That's basically what it is.
Okay, but that's something you learned like boots on the ground in the restaurant, right? That wasn't just something that they said. That was something that at 11 years old, 12 years old, however long you worked there, that was something that that was modeled in front of you that you were able to adapt and to bring into your life, right?
Right.
So tell me some of those things. What did you notice when you were that age?
Well, just knowing, the waitresses and the around that were working at Curtine's. There's two of them still working at Curtine's that I grew up with.
Is that Dolores?
Dolores and Rosa, yeah. So I've known them most of my life. And, it's just learning about how my grandfather worked, how he tested food, how he just had a passion about what he did. He was very passionate about the food he put out and learned everything from my great grandmother. From what my family has told me is there's different parts of the restaurant that, you have the back kitchen, the front line, and then, what you do in the front of the house. So my Uncle Joe was the front of house. He was the businessman. He was the one that's out there shaking hands and kissing babies and getting people interested in Curtine's. He was the promoter.
Okay.
I mean, that's how I saw him, but he was also in the kitchen too at times. My grandfather was behind the scenes. He was the one making the recipes, cooking everything, and making Curtine's what it's known for is the recipes. That's what I saw. Him with his spoons, tasting things. And he had a bunch of spoons just tasting food and making sure it was right.
So he's tasting them as like he was a consumer. He wanted to make sure whatever product he put out was passed the test.
Right. He was the only man I know that could get a spoon, put it in a boiling pot of menudo and taste it without blowing on it. He got so used to that, it didn't ever hurt him.
That was just part of his MO.
Right.
That was just something he did. It's like, okay, there it goes. There's Tata or whatever. He's tasting the menudo.
Well, we called him Gramps.
Gramps.
Yeah, he was Gramps.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah.
Gramps. So how old were you when you stopped working there?
Well, I mean, it was off and on, because I was involved in sports and school and I would go with my father to the Curtine's on 4th Avenue, which is the crossing now that used to be Curtine's. So I remember being, 11, 12, 13 years old and being locked in the bathroom. And I was always very intimidated by Joe Curtine. He was not a big man, but he was he carried himself well.
Okay.
And with a low, solid voice. And, he'd say, "Robby, what are you doing in here?" I go, "Well, I've been in here for an hour." It was after closing and trying to get out, and he opened the door and got me out of there, I guess. But, he was somebody that, I respected greatly, along with, my grandfather was his brother. So, it's just something that watching them, I mean, in family businesses, the family business isn't always the easiest, because it's like the fire department. You can be an acting captain, but you got to go back to your position when the captain gets back.
Right.
So when you're in a family business, it's where you're the owner and everything. But when you're with the family, you're just like everybody else. And I think sometimes it's hard to detach as the owners.
Gotcha.
And I mean, even when I get together with my family now, I don't really like talking business, but they always.
But you have to, at one sense, right?
It starts out talking business and everything, and then I'm like, okay, can we talk about what's going on? Something
you feel
else.
a little uncomfortable.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. Did you notice that with them? They felt uncomfortable talking business.
Yeah.
It's like they just wanted to give good service to their community.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't about the business, right? So that's probably something you saw in them and the way they interacted. It's like, no, this is what it's about. So that's something that carried on with you.
Right.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I saw a lot of things, just family meetings, and it was usually about the restaurant and what was going on and money and bills and all that stuff that goes in with doing a business that I now understand. Back then, I just viewed it, saw it.
Yeah.
But now doing it, I understand what the talks were about. So,
okay. So did they get pretty intense?
Sometimes, yeah, they got intense. My grandfather and Joe weren't afraid to tell each other what they thought.
To each other?
To each other.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
They respected each other, but they were scrappers. And they weren't afraid to say, hey, this is what I think. And this is, and Joe would say, this is what I think. But they were military men that came back and they served their country and came back and served their community. But they were businessmen. But family was number one, business was number two. Mm-hmm. But the business started at 5 o'clock in the morning until 10 or 11 o'clock at night. So my grandfather would set up everything and he could go home around 5 or 6 o'clock. But they had their part. Victor, my uncle Victor was the one that took care of the bar, make sure everything was going good there, and my grandfather was the one behind the scenes doing the cooking with his team, and Joe was up front making sure everybody was happy with what everybody else was doing.
So Joe would have a little bit more of an outgoing personality then?
Yeah, out of all of it, Joe was the most known cretin because he was always out front, talking to people. And he had that about him where he could go out and just start shaking hands and
make anybody his friend.
I still hear stories about Joe and him talking to different people and people reminiscing about conversations they've had with him. So
gotcha. So let's go back a little bit because cretins is not you don't hear a lot of cretins. Right? Unless they're related to your family. Can you explain a little bit about the name?
Well, it was a great-great-great-grandfather that came from France that traveled through Mexico and came up through Sonora. And Cretin is a French name, but
you would say it like in a French way, right?
Yeah,
there has to be some type of
Yeah, it was like
Can you say it? Can you do it?
Well,
I'm putting you on the spot now.
Well, it sounds like cretin, but it's cretin, or I don't know. It's just French.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. I don't even know. I can't even fathom it right now.
Yeah, but when you meet people, or they call, or salesmen call cretins, they say shretins or cretins or something like that.
Yeah, my father-in-law says cretins.
Yeah.
Yeah, normally he does it half jokingly, but it's kind of, it is a little different, right? Because you look at it, it's not like a Garcia, a Fernandez, or a Rodriguez, right? It's like, what is this? But so that's a little bit of the story behind it, because he came from France through Mexico and then kind of made it his own. Right. Because
my grandfather always had this joke that he was related to Geronimo. I don't know. He had pictures of Geronimo and said, we were related. And I never got the whole story and how he came up with that, but I think it was just something funny.
I'd roll with it, man. Yeah. I would tell everybody you're related.
Yeah. He always had these funny stories and stuff, but yeah, it was, back when,
So funny stories. You saw family meetings. You were able to get into the thick of it and find out what the restaurant business is all about, right?
Right.
So Cretins was in the family for how long?
I would say since 46 to the 80s. And then it was sold to the Waits family and great family. Every time I went in there, it was very nice. And it was Don Waits. Great guy, always greeted me at the table. I was probably in my 20s or 30s, and he'd always been very nice. And then his son took it over, and he goes to the restaurant today. So I learned a little bit from everybody. He's bringing some memorabilia back that was in the restaurant, so we can put it back up. So
cool.
Yeah. So
so sometime in the 80s, it left the family.
Yeah.
Oh, but
I think late 80s, early 90s.
Late 80s, early 90s. How old were you?
I think around 18, 19 years old.
18, 19. How did you feel when it left the family?
I was, I look at it now and I'm glad that it happened, kind of, because it got my grandfather out of it.
Yeah, but I want to know the feeling that you had when it first happened.
I think it was
Let's go back
upset,
to 18,
anger.
Yeah.
Disappointed.
I would imagine.
And I know my parents were, and you know, a lot of the family was, but it was a good thing and a bad thing. You know, we were able to, because the restaurant business, there's a lot of stress in there. You know, there's a lot, trust me.
Yeah.
But when, you know, it is where we were able to keep my grandfather 96 years, and he got out early. So he was still a partner in it, but he wasn't there in the kitchen anymore. The people that he had trained were in the kitchen. So, but yeah, and I'm glad he did that, because we were able to have a lot more time with him. So
okay, his legacy got imparted into the people for a good amount of time, right? So, why did it sell?
Because Joe was had some health issues, and he knew it was time, and so he had Don Waits was a friend of his, and he offered it to him. So, you know, we were all young and everything, and
you probably felt like, hey, give me a chance or something. There had to have been some kind of fight in you. This is the where you learned your work ethic. Right. This is where you grew up. This was part of you since you said about 11 years old. So you felt a certain way. You wanted it, but I heard that you made a promise too, right? Right.
You know, when I was a kid and it had sold and everything, and I told my grandfather, one day, Gramps, I'm gonna get it back. I don't know how, I don't know when, but one day, you know, and he told me, no, it's okay, you know. He didn't want me to go through the same stresses as it is to have a business. You know, there's ups and downs, and you know,
he's looking at his grandson like, no, you don't know what you're saying.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And you know, he passed away. I don't know, about 6 months ago or so, and big influence. It really was a big blow to the family, because we wanted him around a lot more, because he had so much more to give. So much information, and but you know, sitting with him, he knew, I guess he felt it, because my grandmother passed away a few years before, but he knew it was his time and it was coming. So, but yeah, he knew that, you know, it's a tough business. You know, back then there was not many Mexican restaurants around, so everybody went to Gratines.
Okay.
So now you have a lot more restaurants, great restaurants, that have a different taste. And
we don't got to say that. They all suck, Robby. No, I'm just kidding.
They don't.
No, they're great.
No. And what really good was, what's kind of funny is when I was in the fire department, I was on a call, and so I had to crawl into this car, because we had to tear the car apart to get this lady out. And it was Miss Gutierrez from Chili Pepper that was in her brand new Mercedes. So I was in there, and I got sent in there to start stabilizing her and everything while we cut her car apart to get her out. And I asked her what her name was. She says, Bessie. And I said, okay, Bessie, I'm here. My name's Robby. I'm a firefighter. I'm here to help you and treat you, and we're going to get you out of here. And I said, your last name? And she told me Gutierrez. And I remember that name, Bessie Gutierrez. So I told her, do you own Chili Pepper? And she goes, yes, I do. And I said, well, my grandmother is Rebecca Gratine. She goes, oh my God, I know your grandmother. So we started talking about that while I was treating her. And, you know, she was telling me, Robby, because I told her my name, I told her, we're going to cut your car apart. She goes, oh no, it's my new Mercedes. And I said, well, it's going to be a cut up one. Yeah. So we got her out and everything, because she had a farmhouse on Somerton Avenue in County, like 10, you know, close to County 11. And so that's how I met Bessie Gutierrez.
Cool.
You know, and she knew my grandmother. She was telling me stories. Oh, your grandmother this, your grandmother that. So the families, you know, even, you know, with the Gutierrez family, and then you have La Fonda. Now, the owner of La Fonda was actually my parents' wedding. So, I mean, cool. They all knew each other, and we still know each other today. I had lunch at Chili Pepper the other day with my sons.
How dare you?
I know, right?
No, they have the best bean and cheese, of course.
I grew up on Chili Pepper. I'm really good friends with Susan Massey, which is the granddaughter of Bessie Gutierrez. And I see the folks from La Casa Gutierrez. Oh, no, the El Charo.
Oh, okay.
And they go in the restaurant too. Bobby Gutierrez. We all go in each other's restaurants. I go to their restaurants as well as they go to mine. It's just a different taste. It's their family. And one thing my grandfather said is that's very important to nobody. I mean, I don't know every family that makes, has a Mexican restaurant. I know more of the ones that were here when my grandfather was here. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
Gotcha. So you made this promise, and as a kid, not knowing how this is going to manifest one day, and you become a firefighter?
Yeah. Kind of. My uncle Mike is a retired firefighter too. He was assistant fire chief at Marine Corps Air Station Yuma, and I was in a photography club in high school. And so I went down to the fire department to see pictures, and I looked at what he was doing. I was like, looking at the firefighters and sitting in lazy boys, waiting for a call, watching TV. I said, damn, this is a perfect job for me. So
that's what you saw. You saw, oh, okay.
I was like, yeah, I can do this.
I could relax.
So I was actually going to the University of Arizona. I was a music major, and did that for a while, and came back home and had some buddies at that worked for the Yuma Fire Department, and still do. And I retired earlier, quicker than they did, which is kind of funny. But got involved in the fire department. There was a flood and a big storm we had, and I went to Station 1 and was filling sandbags and saw the firefighters helping people and stuff. And that's one thing that my family's always instilled in me, was always give back and take care of your
help
community.
People.
Yeah. So I told my mother that because she's a huge influence on what I do, along with my father, and I told her I'm thinking about being a firefighter, and my mom was like, you know what? I don't want you to do that.
She thought the worst.
Well, my grandmother lost 2 sisters in a fire back on Main Street over here off of Gis, right over here on the
just
corner.
right around the corner.
On Main Street,
yeah.
where the railroad is. They had a house there. It was the Aguilar family and the Lechuga family, which are 2 old Yuma families, and 100-year families. And so she lost her sisters in a fire. And my grandmother told me, no, mijo, it's very dangerous. It's very dangerous, this and that. So got their advice and everything, but I still went to the fire academy.
And you didn't take it?
No, I didn't. I didn't take it.
At least you had some respect. I'm going to go get their advice, and then, I want to be a firefighter. I like the lazy boy.
Yeah, right? So I went to the city. I have friends in the city Yuma Fire Department, and I told them, hey, I want to become a firefighter. And they told me, you know what? It'll be a good start over in Somerton. So I was like, okay. So I went to Somerton. The fire chief back then was named Richard Travascus. And I told him, hey, I want to be a firefighter. He goes, are you fire certified? And I go, no, I don't have anything. So a call kicked out for a gas leak. And he goes, you want to be a firefighter? Jump in. And I was like,
shut up.
Oh, yeah, that's how it happened. So I jumped in, and I was in plain clothes with a vest on.
What year is this?
This is probably 1994.
Oh, that sounds like the Wild West.
Right?
Would you jump in?
Well, Somerton back then,
Somerton's a little bit different.
Wild West. It's very different than what it is now. But I went on that, and he goes, okay, you can be a volunteer. You don't have any certifications or anything. So I was like, okay. So I went to school, got my EMT, and did that. And then I wanted to go. My goal and dream was to work in the Valley. So I went to I went to the Phoenix Fire Academy in Glendale, to the Glendale Community College. So I got a lot of a good taste of the Valley Fire Department. And so I've always wanted to do that. I wanted to be on task force teams and do all this stuff and be deployed to places and everything. So did my time there. I did test for the city of Yuma, and I did pass the test and had the opportunity to work for the city of Yuma. But when I applied for a full-time firefighter for the city of Somerton, Julie Ingold, which is now the director of the Yuma Economic Development.
Yeah, the Greater Economic Development Center.
She told me that you could change things here. You can make a difference here and then go on, but you can make changes here, because Somerton back then was a volunteer fire department with 2 full-timers. Now it's, I think, 8 full-time guys on a truck and ambulance. But So I took her advice, and I'm glad I did, because I learned a lot. Somerton, when I started, was 2 firefighters, and when there was a fire, you were it. That was all you got. So I got a lot of entry on fires, on house fires.
You got to get in the thick of it.
Right. And the next unit that was coming in to help us would be Marine Corps Air Station's, the structural fire department. Then after that would be the city of San Luis. So we were by ourselves for a while. So there were some scary moments. I've had my share of those, but just like any other firefighter, but we made it through, as a team. It's the best job in the world. I mean, my son Aiden has talked to me about being a firefighter, and I told him I'll support anything you want to do, but it's a great job. I enjoyed it. I do miss the guys, but I do see them. They come to the restaurant, or we go have a beer somewhere or something. And I was the union president for Somerton, and with the United Yuma Firefighters for most of my career, and went up against council and Yuma County Supervisor, City Yuma Council. That's all part of being protecting the fire service.
Gotcha.
But we're all still buddies. I mean, you're fighting for the firefighters, and they understood that. But there's only so much you can do with a budget, and I knew that. So, but I learned a lot about. My son always asked me if I seen this scene before or this scene before.
I don't even want to ask.
Yeah,
I bet you've seen a lot.
Oh yeah. Just like any other firefighter, we do see a lot of trauma, and like I told you, I always wanted to be on a team or something that was in Phoenix. So I was asked to be, because of certain things that I did. I was asked to be on a Type 1. It was called the Arizona Last through the National Fallen Firefighters Association. So I was deployed to different disasters or different things. So the big one was the Granite Mountain Hotshots that I was deployed to. So worked a lot there, was there for 2 weeks. And, that was the first time I've ever told the command staff of that incident that I need to go home. And I drove from Prescott to Yuma just for a hug and drove back.
Whoa.
So it was that intense,
You needed that touch. You needed something because it was so graphic
Yeah. And it was very, 19 firefighters dying in one incident was very, it was big in loss of life in the fire service. And,
you needed to come home and ground yourself again real quick.
Right. I think, I'm not, I'm a big softie and I'll cry at a movie, no problem. But to actually weep and just let it all out, I think I needed that.
Gotcha.
I went to a bar. I don't know, people have seen the movie, and some of it is accurate to the point where, they're Station 7. I don't remember there being a forest behind it. It was right in the middle of the city because we broke into their public works yard that's right across the street to get some equipment one night. But, it's just, it was a tough time.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of firefighters. I'm still in contact with the firefighters that I worked with from different departments. They were actually down for the Bridget's Gift concert. So,
and that's something you wanted to do, right? You said get deployed, go over here, and then you got a taste of it.
Yeah. So, I've been deployed, unfortunately, to close to 100 firefighter related stuff. Things.
And that was part of the crew you were part of?
That is the team I'm a part of. It all originated from the Mesa Fire Department, getting a team formed for the National Fallen Firefighters, and we go all over the state. I'm still on the team, so I'll get a text saying this happened in this town, and we're there in 24 hours.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So that while you're a fighter, did you have in the back of your mind, one day I'm going to get that place back? Like, when did that come? Or was it the whole time?
It was the entire time.
Entire time.
Because I would go into the restaurant to eat when it was owned by different owners, and I would just look around. I go, no.
How many different owners, real quick?
1, 2, maybe 3 or 4.
3 or 4. Okay. Yeah.
So I was the biggest critic. Oh, the beans don't look right, or the chili relleno does not look like my grandfather. Because I was so used to the Cretin way. you know, and during the years, the folks that my grandfather taught would either retire or they passed away.
Oh,
you know,
it started to lose that flavor.
So that's that. I mean, it was always in the back of my mind.
So it's in the back of your mind. So are you putting money away?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think close to 10 years ago, I did meet with Clint Underhill down at his other building that he owned. And I told him, hey, I know you're the owner of Curtines. My name's Robby, blah, blah, blah. If you ever want to sell it, please give me an opportunity to do it. I will start saving now. So I did that.
And this is how many years ago?
I'd say, well, at the time, it's probably 10 to 11 years ago.
10 to 11 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was only, 12 or 13 years into the fire department kind of thing. So, I mean, working and I worked many jobs. I taught at Arizona Western College. I worked at the ER. I worked the fire department. So I had all these jobs that I saved. I'm just saving and saving.
So you were already saving and saving when you spoke to him. But you kind of said, like, if you ever want to, I'll start saving.
Right.
Just as like a gesture to talk to him. Okay.
Either I was going to do that or buy a very nice house. So.
Well, so that was plan A, plan B.
Yeah.
Plan B. What did Clint say when you told him? Do you remember?
Oh, well, he said, I'm not interested right now. And, but I will.
Okay.
And he did.
He did, because the restaurant business is tough, I bet.
Well, Clint had other things he wanted to do, and he wanted to spend more time with his family, which I get. I mean, and I respect him for that. But he just wanted to not do it anymore. He has other things that he owns that he wanted to put more attention on, and that's what he did.
It must have been really tough for him. Like you said, you'd go in there. This is not the way my grandfather did this, did that. It started to lose that. And I know, because he was a client of mine for a while, and that was a tough battle that we had to try to, but it's the new Curtines or something. We had to kind of, okay, how am I going to market this place? How are we going to advertise this? And I remember him trying to, like, a few different things, just kind of see what worked. But Yuma is a different town. It's very, tight knit. And it was like, well, no, we know how it's supposed to be. We've been here for a long time. Yeah. And it was a tough battle for him. And, but now it's with you, and you're trying to bring that back, right?
Right. And I'm coming from a fire department background, you have budgeting and all that stuff. I am no businessman. I mean, I'm learning as I go, kind of thing. And I'm very, very fortunate to know, a good amount of different business owners, restaurant owners, and different type of other business type owners that I can go to and ask questions when I don't understand something, or, if somebody gets hurt, workman's comp, you have insurance, how do you go through the whole process?
So you're very teachable.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm not, I don't know everything. And that's what you learn in the fire department. If you don't know something or you need help, you call in for resources. So, and that's what I do.
So that's something you picked up, and then you said, you know what, I could be a business owner, because if I don't know something, that thing in me tells me to ask. This principle that says, okay, I don't know, I'm going to ask and I'll figure it out, because taking on a business is pretty huge.
Yeah. When I told my grandfather, the first thing he said, "Are you crazy?" Yeah. And I said, no, but I really need you to, if you don't want me to, I will not do it. But if, what started the whole thing, when Clint called me and I didn't give him an answer, and I told him, let me think about this thing, and me and my mother were taking him to the dentist, and 96-year-old guy had all his teeth, and I don't know, he always took care of his teeth. Oh, wow. So we're going down the 16th Street, and my grandfather says, "Look, Robby, my name is still up there." So I was like, "Man, how did you know how to just say that just right when I talked to Clint?"
Because you saw that as a sign,
right? And we could have passed it, and he could have said nothing, but that time, and he's probably passed it, going to the dentist and going on, just
numbers
on
of times.
Yeah, but that time he said that, and
that did something for you. That was like, wait a minute, God, are you talking?
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I told him about what I wanted to do. He did ask me if I'm crazy. And I said, this is what I need from you, Gramps. I need every recipe that you have, and I need a resource. And he goes, okay, here you go. Here's the book. Get your Aunt Helen and your Uncle Jimmy involved, and you'll be fine. So the reason why, it's not because of me. The reason why Croutines is doing well, where we have that taste back, and people are saying, I remember this taste when I was 20 in the Marine Corps, and I used to be stationed here, is because of two people, and that's my Aunt Helen and my Uncle Jimmy, because they were there with my grandfather when he was working in the restaurant, and they know how to make that taste.
They know how to bring it back.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I tell them every day, it's not, what my job is I'm Joe. I'm the promoter. I'm shaking hands, answering questions, doing all that. But my Aunt Helen and my Uncle Jimmy are back there doing what needs to be done to make that taste and make that dinner like they remembered it.
Gotcha.
I had a lady that was in the bar crying, and I looked at Jesse, one of the bartenders we have. I go, Jesse, what's wrong? He goes, dude, you need to talk to her. And I go, ma'am, what's wrong? She goes, I took one bite and it brought me back to my childhood. And I was like, wow. So it was pretty weird. It was kind of deep.
Because the food is emotional.
Yeah.
Food is very emotional, psychological, you know.
Our family revolved around food. My grandfather made this dish, which was kind of funny for him to make, but he would make it for the employees at Croutines when he was there. And it was chop suey. I mean, that guy can make chop suey.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. Out of the box? That's a little out of the box.
Oh, yeah. I mean, his stories about being in Germany and Switzerland and he was on the front lines in World War II, and he would make, one of the generals had asked him to make a cake. And when you're out in the middle of wherever he was, I mean, the Swiss Alps or, I mean, on the beach, I mean, he never really, he was in battles, and he never really told me about those battles. He would tell me about what people wanted to eat more than.
Wow. That's how powerful food is.
Oh yeah. So, I mean, he would make these things for these generals that would come down just to this, where they were camped at to eat.
Wow.
It was kind of crazy.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I want to backtrack a little bit to something you said. You mentioned Bridget's gift. Okay. I want to talk about a little bit about that. But first, let's talk about who is Bridget.
Well, Bridget was married to my cousin David, and we've always, I mean, she's my cousin now because, she's married to David, and he's my cousin. So, but they got divorced a long time ago, but Bridget was always she was still a member of the family. Yeah. So,
because that's what you guys are about, family. So once somebody comes into the family, you're family.
Right. Exactly. So, I mean, me and my partner, Ryan, we were coming back from a call, and so we're passing the baseball field, and I told Ryan, hey, let's go over there and see what's going on, because we were getting something to eat. It was a long night, and this is like midnight. So the baseball fields are all lit up. So I look at the sign that says Team Bridget, and I was like, hey, Ryan, I know a Bridget. How many Bridgets do you know? He goes, I don't know any Bridgets. Yeah. I go, hey, let's go check it out. So we went out, and when I walked up to the booth where they had all the cakes and stuff they were selling, I saw that it was Bridget. Mm-hmm. And I turned around and I go, it's you? And she goes, it's me. And I was like, from that on, I told her, I will do whatever it takes to make sure that you get funding and we get this thing beat, and I will not stop till it gets done.
So I got to backtrack a little bit for people that don't know. The funding was because Bridget had
breast cancer.
Mm-hmm. So, in this event that you saw was a way to raise money.
It was a softball tournament. All-nighter kind of thing. And yeah.
Just something because Bridget probably played softball, and softball's big here in Yuma. It's a way to go out and get a little bit of exercise and mostly drink, but it's something we do here. It's a part of our tradition. And so you saw her, and then you made her a promise?
Yeah, I told her that I'm here. Whatever you need me to do, I will make something up. We will, we're going to do takeovers or something. I know the owner of Buffalo Wild Wings, and we're going to do something. So I called Chris Miller, and I said, hey, this is what I got going on. I need your help. And he said, all right, let's do it. So we did it.
So you said you started with something called takeovers, which is you go into a restaurant, and what happens?
Well, they give you a percentage of the till was the entire day. So I got the United Human Firefighters involved, and we started doing this takeover. And Bridget was there, and I remember a couple of times Bridget got mad. But if you knew Bridget, it would be like, that's Bridget. You know, she was a tough chick, and
she was tough. But
she's an ortho, and you know they don't. You know, if you make a man, they're going to tell you something.
Yeah, I grew up with the orthos.
So I mean, yeah. So I mean, it's my whole life has been about certain promises and stuff. So I started working with Bridget on that stuff, and so we did that for a little while, couple years.
A few years, these routine takeovers and stuff like that
she was
to
going
raise
through
money.
Her chemotherapy and everything, and then we got it into remission, and which was awesome. She was doing great, and then not too long. I mean, after that, it was everywhere. So
the cancer showed back up.
Yeah, it went everywhere. So I would go visit Bridget and at her house, and you know she had a medical bed there, and she was laying there. And when she was in the hospital, I go see her at the hospital, and she called me over one night. Usually I just go over and bug her, but one night she called me over, so I went over there, and she looked at me and said, "I need you to do something for me." And I was like, "Okay." She goes, "I need you to keep this going. I want you to help other women that are fighting breast cancer and use the team that I have, that we've formed, to help you do that." And I was like, "Okay, no problem.
Just no problem. This is
do that.
You're used to keeping promises."
Well, I'm not used to keeping promises. There's a lot of promises I haven't kept, but this one, I was like, "Okay, Bridget, why are you telling me this? Stop."
There was something there, though.
Right.
There was something electric.
So she told me, "I'm not going to be here for much longer." So I said, "Knock it off. We're gonna get through this." She goes, "Robby, I'm not going to be here much longer. I need you to do this." And I said, "Okay, I will do it. I promise. I'll take care of it. But stop telling me you're leaving." So probably no more than 3 days after that, she passed away, and I got a call saying she passed away. So what our discussion kind of just went to the back thing, and we were concentrating on services and doing all this stuff and
the practicalities of when you lose the loved one.
Right. So I'd say a couple weeks after that, I hadn't done anything about what Bridget wanted me to do, and so I had like this little dream, and she walked. I always tell people this. She walked into the dream, looked at me, smiled, and walked out. So I was like, I woke up and I go, "Oh crap, I better start working on this thing." So I went, Lolly Near, she was Bridget's right-hand person. Mm-hmm. Lolly actually passed away not too long ago on Bridget's birthday.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it's kind of, it's weird.
There's some connections.
Right. There's a lot of big connections. And so I told Lolly, I said, "Hey, this is what happened. Can you get me a meeting with Bridget's team?" It was called Team Bridget. So she said, "Sure." So what it's about, and I told her. So there's like 50 people in this room. And so I said, "Hey guys, my name's Robby. I'm a friend of Bridget's, and I want to start a foundation that helps other people that are fighting breast cancer. I want to do a country western concert. I want to bring John Michael Montgomery. What do you think?"
Just like that, huh?
It was like crickets.
Oh,
and I'm like, okay. So these 7 women.
I like your passion, though. That was pretty cool, man.
I know. It was like a whole presentation. Yeah. You just see me in court. It's like, yep, that's him in court right there, you know. But anyway, so I told them that, and there was 8 women that came up and said, we will do this with you. And
8 out of the many?
Like 50 that were in there.
Out of the
I could
50.
be exaggerating. There could have been 30, but it looked like 50.
Yeah.
When you have a bunch of girls looking at you, you're like, "Oh yeah, you look like 100 people in here."
Oh man, you got stared down, huh?
Oh yeah, because they're like, "Who the heck are you?" But some of them knew who I was. So so the first we didn't know what to call it. So we all looked around and brainstormed, and we said, "What is this? This is a gift, you know, from Bridget." So we're like, "Hey, let's call it Bridget's gift." So we made the logo, and we did all this stuff. We contacted the hospital to see how we make a foundation, because they knew how to do all that stuff. And And all these girls are go-getters. I mean, they are like generals.
Yeah.
I mean, they're awesome people.
So when you're saying all these girls, these are the 8 that kind of rose to the top to meet this
and these
challenge?
are local girls that some own businesses, and they're just go-getters, and they will do anything to accomplish
and
their
you're
goal.
talking about Courtney is one of them, right?
Oh yeah, Courtney, Wendy, Stacy, Kim, Jennifer. I mean,
give them a shout out. Yeah.
Oh
for
yeah.
sure.
I mean, these girls are, Sissy. I mean, I can, Lolly. It just, they are Bridget's gift. I mean, they're always like, Robby, you go and talk. I'm like, I'm a guy.
Yeah.
Well, guys get breast cancer too, idiot. And I'm like, well, yeah, but I have a face for radio, I would tell them. And,
Yep.
so, I mean, you're supposed to say, no, you don't. Anyway.
They never do. Huh?
Yeah, they don't.
Next time I see Courtney, I'm going to make sure she says that.
Yeah. I mean, we worked at this thing and we started with $0. And I mean,
$0, but a dream and a promise.
A dream and a promise. And I got those guys together, and we because I couldn't. There's no way I could have done it alone. There's no way. So I was like
back
the messenger.
To that team thing. That team thing seems to be a theme in your life.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So we did have John Michael Montgomery, our first concert, and we've been doing it ever since. And we just finished our 9th concert.
So this was number 9. This last one that just passed.
Yep.
It's bigger every time.
Yeah. This one was, I thought Big and Rich was kind of big, but this one was big. And, there's, like I said, there's no way I could never do it without Wendy and Courtney and Stacy and all those guys. I mean, their ideas. I mean, it doesn't all come from me. And the girls always like, well, Robby started this thing. And I go, we did. It's a we thing, not an I thing. But yeah, they are the glue that keeps us all together. Because I mean, it's like we're brother. I mean, we can get into it.
Some of that family fighting again. So these women have become like family.
It's not all peaches. It's sometimes. I mean, I don't agree with Court. And I'm like,
you better.
I'm like, yeah. I'm like, dude, we're not doing that. And she goes, Robby, we're doing it. And then I think about it a little bit more, and I go, maybe Courtney has a point there, or Kim has a point, or Wendy has a point.
Okay.
But I'm outnumbered there, a little bit. But they all work hard at the concert, setting up to tear down to. I mean, the last concert, you got Kim and her daughter out there taking down fences. They
put in the muscle too. Huh?
Yeah. It's not like we hire people to do that. No, and not one person makes a dime off what we don't make any money. All the funds that we all volunteer.
It's a passion project.
It's a promise that we made. Bridget, I made them part of that promise, and they have not backed down. I cannot not mention Tina Ricker, because she's the one that makes it look beautiful out there.
Gotcha.
The table settings and everything. She's the one that makes all that possible. But everybody has their certain areas, and you better not go in their areas. Stay in your lane.
No.
I brought some of the fire department saying into the Bridget's gift, so I'll get that sometime. Hey, Robby, stay in your lane. I'm like,
it better
whatever,
happen,
dude.
huh? Yeah.
So I mean, we have our Bridget's gift family, and right now we're starting to plan the 10th year, because it's a 2-day event, and it's going to take a lot of logistics to get that done. So
2-day event, and it's exactly what you said it was, right? That you wanted to do a little barbecue and bring in down a country western artist, and it kind of manifested into what you thought that first day, what you pitched them, huh?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I knew was shows, because when I used to sing, that's what I knew how. I knew how to do that, not because of the singing. It's because of Howard Gwynn. And I don't know if you know Howard Gwynn. There was a thing called hospice roping roundup, and it was held at the Gwynn Ranch. It's funny that I go to Yuma Catholic, and the stadium is Ricky Gwynn Stadium. And Ricky Gwynn was a really good friend of mine, and we hung around the same people. And when I go there and I see Ricky Gwynn Stadium, I kind of chuckle, because I know Ricky Gwynn.
Oh, you know him, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, great kid, but he passed away from cancer when we were kids. But my son plays on the same team as his son Tommy, his brother Tommy, and but Howard Gwynn and me and Wendy McKay were a couple years ago talking to him, and we told him the reason this is not an idea that we thought of. We're doing this because we learned it as kids from you. And that's
what organization? Like,
it was hospice. They had it at his ranch.
Okay, but what did you do? How'd you learn it? Because of the organization,
the organizational thing, having the
structure.
Well, having the because I remember it being kind of tough back then to get country artists, and they had some really good ones like Reba McEntire. I mean, they had some really, really good ones. So just the way he did it and how the setup was and the barbecue and all that, the tri-tip, and they had a roping around it. And I was telling the girls the other night, remember we were going to have like a little rodeo attached to this, and they go, yeah. Can you imagine?
Oh, throwing that in the mix.
Oh yeah. We weren't even prepared to do that.
Yeah.
But like I said, we were looking at what Howard Gwynn did at his house.
So you were able to kind of see that and say, you know what? I could do that.
Right.
We could do that.
We can do that. And it wasn't easy. I mean,
nothing ever is that's
if
worth
it was
doing,
easy,
right?
Everybody would do it.
Right.
So, but we told Howard that, and it's Howard and I grew very close through a unfortunate incident, and Howard is a cowboy, roper. I mean, nicest guy. He is a Gwen, and related. His mother is a Sanguinetti.
Oh wow!
Sanguinetti
Two
Park,
powerhouses in Yuma,
right down the street. Sanguinetti,
yeah,
the Sanguinetti house. That is his family. Redondo, that is his family.
All the streets in Yuma, yeah. There we
go.
go.
There's I know that the Gwen family very well. So, I got a call on duty, acting captain. Get on the scene. Remember, I told you he was a roper cowboy. Get on the scene, and I'm working it, and I have the guys working, and I go tell the other cowboys, can I get his name? And they tell me Howard. I was like, Howard? I go, last name, Gwen. And I was like, what? So I go down to Howard. I go, Howard, it's Robby. Unconscious, unresponsive. Horse went back, landed on him. He had to learn how to walk again. But I told those guys, and great paramedics, South County medics are friggin' awesome because they do everything by themselves back then. They're just street medics to the core. I mean, if I had don't get me wrong, Yuma Fire has some awesome medics, if not all of them. But in Somerton that I worked with, those guys are awesome. And they packaged Howard so tight that there was no movement in his spine to even make the injury worse. So we packed him up, and every firefighter that was on that scene went to the hospital. I got my butt chewed out for that call. But I wanted to make sure because Howard was
you got to take care of this guy.
I took care of him. And we take care of everybody the same way. But Howard was like, we're going to ride this all the way through. And
again, another connection in your life.
Oh yeah. It's kind of weird, but Howard came to the Bridget's Gift Show a couple of years ago. He had a class reunion this year. He texted me and called me. He wasn't going to be able to make it, but he was at his class reunion. So, but yeah, that's where we learned how to do the concert, by watching him. By
watching somebody, you were able to say, you know what, I could do this because he could do it. He kind of modeled the way.
Yeah.
And it became something that's probably one of the biggest events in Yuma, right?
Right. And he gave me the opportunity to sing at him too. That's how I got the whole singing thing down.
So you sang at his events?
His events, yeah.
As a kid, country western, that seems to be your MO.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I like every type of music. I mean, a lot of people will put on Huey Lewis in the News or something that they think I wouldn't like. I'm like, oh yeah, I know who this is.
I absolutely love Huey Lewis in the News.
Oh, okay.
And Hall & Oates.
Yeah.
Hall & Oates, man. Bring them down.
Oh yeah, I checked on that. That's a pretty penny.
Is it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, they come to Phoenix. Try to get them when they're in Phoenix.
I know. On a one-off, come on
just,
down to Yuma,
hey,
shoot down
come
here.
down. Why not, man?
Yeah.
Make some fans down here. Make some money. But okay, so that's Bridget's Gift. Where does the money go for Bridget's Gift?
It goes to back to the community. Anybody fighting breast cancer, helps with bills, treatments, things like prosthetics, wigs, anything like that. That will, because the worst thing when I've learned that when a lady's going through breast cancer, it's very it's bad. But when they have to worry about bills and their car payments and all that
things
stuff,
that pile up on top of it.
So that's
they're
where
already
we come
fighting this thing, and then
right. So that's where we come in, and we help them with that, electrical bills, anything that we can do to make it better. So,
and then somebody wants to take part of this program. How do they do it?
They can go to the Foundation of Yuma, Foundation of YMC, and they can get the application. You know, it's nothing. Just want to know your name and all that stuff, so we can contact you, and then we'll get a hold of them. We have a board that meets with you and gets all the information that we need and where we can help, and then it comes through the Bridget's Gift Board, which we do more. So we have another team that's like our selection committee, to where some folks our goal is to help people of Yuma County, but we've had other people from out of town that have wanted help too. But when we direct them to another source, because our goal is to help folks here.
It was your goal. So
Right.
you have your guidelines. You have
Right.
the things that you stick to. Okay. So you're singing. This helps with the Bridget's Gift.
Right.
It's part of your journey in life that leads to Creatines. How long have you had Creatines now?
A year and 8 months.
A year and 8 months. Now the people are coming in. They're crying because it's so good.
Well, I mean, that was one incident.
Yeah, but still, people are crying because it's like, you know what? This reminds me of being a kid, which was cool. Like, I remember when it was at there was a parking lot and it was gravel.
Yeah.
I remember being a kid going in there, and you'd walk through the kitchen.
Right?
Right?
The back kitchen, yeah.
Yeah, you'd walk through this thing, and I remember being a kid going there with my aunt and my nana and stuff. Like, what is this? Like, you know, you could see the people washing dishes or whatever, and then it became like a whole experience.
Right.
It was like there was something cool to it that I remember to this day. And now you have it, and now you're trying to bring that same experience back.
Yeah.
And you have your family there.
Oh, yeah.
I see, you know, for you're one of my clients. For we do business together, so I'm at your restaurant quite a bit. So I see you got your sister,
My sister.
you got like nieces, and
Bridget's daughter works there.
Bridget's
Brittany.
That's Brittany. Okay, so that's Bridget's daughter, and so you bring in the family.
Yeah,
there's a
I
family
couldn't do it
element.
without him. I mean, I don't know where I'd be if I did it any other way. So
Yeah. So you're bringing that family, and so the recipes are starting to come online, and we're fighting this thing to where it's like, okay, maybe it lost for a time. You need some water or something?
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
I need to go
What's that?
to the restroom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, can I go real quick?
Yeah. Go to the restroom. Go
Yeah.
do what you got to do.
Give me 5 seconds.
Yeah. Whatever. I'll sing or something. All right. So now you got the restaurant back. You're bringing the family element. The food is tasting like it's supposed to.
Well, you know what? I told my grandfather, I said, hey, had some complaints. And they go, oh, okay. What are the complaints? I told him, and just add this, add that, do this. So we did. And I asked him, do you ever get complaints? He goes, oh, all the time.
People love to complain, Robbie. That's like a thing. That's like a hobby.
Terrible.
That's a hobby for people.
I feel terrible because my other line of work, the fire department, when you got complaints, that was not good when we never did.
Yeah.
So
no, it's not. It's not good in that department, but
No.
in food and people love to complain, man. It's so I've been in marketing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in advertising, and so I've have like and also reputation, and oh man, you just get so many complaints, and then it's like, oh well, you have no life, right? And so this is what kind of you just do. You just complain to kind of have something to complain about, but. So some legitimate complaints probably came in, and then you did what you could to rectify them.
Yeah, I mean, I invite them back to the restaurant. I sit with them. I talk to them. I like to be a little personable and introduce myself. And I mean, I've been on that other side where I'm at a restaurant sitting there, but I really never complain. I always go back because sometimes it's a bad day, I guess. I don't know, but it just it happens.
Yeah. So. So you're bringing it back. Then you said, you know what? I'm going to own a nightclub. You know what? This restaurant business is so easy and everything's so smooth. I'm going to get a nightclub. Is that what you did?
No, it was, that's Underhill's fault. He threw some things at me and I was like, man, and I've always loved this building because it's
Oh, hold on. Wait a minute.
Huh?
Did you take a picture of this building? I know we were talking off
Oh
camera.
yeah, on my phone, I have photos of things that I was when I joke with you. I had things that I wanted to accomplish. So I took a picture of the Crest building like in 2013 or
You're
something
dead
like that.
serious. You're not bullshitting
Oh
me
no,
right
not
now.
at all.
Oh,
no.
wow.
And then I take a picture. I was telling Brittany today, check out this. I took this in 2013, another one of my truck. And she goes, oh my God, you drive a truck just like it. And I go, yeah. It just, I have.
Like people have vision boards. This is like your version of a vision board.
I don't know why I do that. I mean, and I had a toy hauler. So I got a toy hauler. But it doesn't happen overnight. I work towards that stuff.
It gives your mind something to point to.
Right.
Towards. It gives you a direction to go.
Right.
And so the Crest was one of those directions.
It just, the building, it wasn't necessarily before this, I've only been in here one time.
Okay.
Since it's opened. And it's not that I don't go out a lot because I was in the fire department. So we worked whatever weekends and stuff. So I didn't go out a lot. And I'm a dad, so I didn't go out a lot. And, I really liked the building, hearing stories from my mom. And my grandfather worked the turntable, the railroad down the street. I mean, the railroad, the trains. I love hearing the trains because it reminds me of my grandfather. Even though I only met him when I was very, very little, it still reminds me of the pictures that I've seen.
There's something there.
Yeah.
There's a connection. And people listening to this podcast, if you hear something, it's trains going by. We have the doors open, and I love hearing them too. So I thought that was a cool ambiance. So people get to hear the trains go by. So something drew you.
Yeah, it just, my family said I was totally crazy. Don't do it. I mean,
you seem to get that.
I get that. Yeah. But my mother would always tell people, do not tell him he can't do it. And I'm like,
oh, that's like the trigger. That's the lever,
right?
Huh?
That's the thing that will say, really, don't tell me I can't do something.
You can't pay me a lot of money.
Oh, you should have seen me during council meetings. Don't tell me we can't do that, Mayor. Like that. And then be like, everybody looking at me. I'm like, oh my God, or supervisor. I mean, respect everybody. I do, but don't tell me that something cannot be done because something can. There's always a way.
There's always a way.
Something. Yeah, especially when it deals with lives and your family. So there's always something that can be done.
So this building was a picture on your phone, just because you liked it, you admired the building, not particularly because it was a nightclub or because originally it was the top of the Crest, I think, owned by a different, and not for that reason, but there was just something about it and that lived on your phone as an idea.
Right. When Clint told me about it, I said, it was very early. I said, let me get through the restaurant and we'll talk
Clint
about it.
owned Curtines previously.
Right.
So that's who you bought Curtines from, Clint Underhill. And then so now he also owned this, but he's, like you said, looking to spend more time with his family, kind of get out of the business. And he said, hey, Robby.
Yeah. And
how about buying the Crest?
Me and Clint had many talks over beers and about family. And, he said, this is going to take you away from yours. So really, really think about this. And, I did. My sons are old enough. Two of them are that they work with me and not here. They're not that old yet, but at the restaurant. And so I saw I just would hear about the Crest, and it was kind of rough and stuff. And I wanted to, anytime that somebody can come into a place and make some changes and make it better to where, somebody that's my age group would want to come down and for a date night, go to a local restaurant down here on Main Street and then come up for a glass of wine overlooking some of the beautiful scenery
overlooking at this place.
I just always thought that this building had so much more potential and so much more to offer people here in Yuma. It's just, there's no other building like it. It's not, there's some great buildings in town, but I've taken part in having a beer up on the top and just hearing the noises of no music going on, just hearing the noises of the city and hearing the train go by and seeing the ocean to ocean bridge, I'm like, hey, this is pretty cool.
There's something special.
Right.
There's something special here about this building. So not just particularly nightclub. There, you have a vision for this to somebody, like you said, come up, have a cocktail, relax, maybe have a business meeting here. Or,
Oh yeah. Well, we started that so far. We've had some mixers here up on the top of the crest, and we've had some like small parties and stuff like that. But I'm looking at it as, you know, a different furniture, different look, different bar look, that you can come with a date, or you can come with your friends from, you know, business people, city workers, or court workers that are around here. You can come and have a beer or a glass of wine and just kind of relax in comfortable seats while they listen to the city with light music playing.
Because that is definitely a vision, because that's not what this place has been for the last so many years, right? So that's going to take some work.
Oh yeah. So far it's been a lot of work. So we've made a lot of changes here. First thing, I mean, I read all the you know, what people would write, all the comments reviews. And the reviews and everything, and a lot of it was around the security. So we got a lead security person that has a lot of experience in private security and nightclub security and stuff. And we said, hire your team. And he did. And I've heard a lot of good comments about our security, that they're very polite and very nice. And I told them, you guys are glorified waiters. That's what you are. And if there's a need to protect yourself or a patron, you will remove that person politely and respectfully out of the building and wish them a good night, call them a taxi if needed. And if they ask why they can't come in, we just tell them, we're not comfortable serving you right now, but we want you to come back.
So you were able to make some changes right away with one of the things that was the big thorn in the side of this place.
Well, yeah. Because I would ask people that, my friends that would come here, or, you know, friends of my sister's that would come here, because he's a lot younger than me. But why wasn't this place
the potential that you saw? Why wasn't it manifesting?
Right. So since we've been in here, it's been kind of crazy. We've been at capacity on Saturday nights. Fridays we're still working out, but we're good. The dancing and meeting new people, and people coming up and saying, we like to change. There's a lot more to come. It doesn't happen overnight. It's in steps. And if I was a millionaire, it would have been done already. I'd just close this place down, redo the whole thing. But I don't like doing it that way. I want to see what people want. What do they want to see in this place? I want you to come into this building, and I love Yuma. Not that I don't want people to think they're in Yuma, but I want them to think that they're out of town.
It's an escape.
Exactly. That they went somewhere that I didn't really feel I was in Yuma. So it gave me a release from reality a little bit, from my job.
Gotcha.
From the kids are with the babysitter and the kids. And I was out of town for an hour or two, kind of thing. And just the brick of this building is awesome. And that I came to a wedding here. A good friend of mine named James got married where it now is Du Bois, but he got married. It was like a venue for weddings at one time. And I really just liked how it looked. So, and got a team together, and we just started making changes. And like I said, the first change was the security.
First change. That's the first of many, though. You have a vision. You're a man of vision. That you're a man that knows how to put that vision into other people and believe in your vision and make it happen. I'm
just a really big believer. If you surround yourself with the right people that are open to suggestion, but also give feedback, honest feedback, I really like that. Because I mean, people say they don't like something about the food, or they don't like something about the night or something like that. But I'm not a guy that will say, okay, what happened, and just blow it off. I really sit down and think about what you're saying and how it made you feel, and try to actually make it better. And I will call you back. I'm that guy with that. I will call you back and say, come back. We fixed it. I want you to tell me how it is. I'm not going to charge you. Just come down and you tell me. But what I want you to do is I want you to give me your honest opinion.
Honesty. That's important to you.
Well, yeah. I think, for anybody, but I just think that.
But you value it in a certain way. Not everybody does.
Well, I funny you brought up running for council, because I have some friends that said, man, you should run for council the way you talk. And I said, no, it's really not my cup of tea, but it's on my phone, but it's a long story.
Oh, so that's one of the things.
Yeah.
Because this is Are We Where Yet? So I need to know everything, where you're going to head. So one day, right now, Robby just announced that he's running for council.
I think I put on a Facebook post. Would you vote for me if I ran for council? It was funny.
Vote Robby 2000 and what's the next
50.
election? 2021.
Oh yeah,
2021.
But I'm that guy that will walk the street, and if you're mad, I want to hear about it, and we'll go in together. I know it's hard to do. I mean, I see our mayor a lot, because we're in the Caballeros together, and
which is a group that helps the community as well.
Right. Yeah.
It's people that don't know, Caballeros puts on a lot of events, and their mission is to help the community.
Oh yeah, great bunch of guys. It's a great organization. And I mean, I told my mom one time, she goes, are you crazy? And I said, no, there's so many things that I don't want to, I've worked with council members that just, what you tell them, it's like swept under the rug, or they're blowing smoke up. You know what? I don't like that. And if I tell you it's impossible, what I think, come at me with the solution, not the problem.
There you go.
Tell me what we can do to fix it. And I'm not one to I mean, I've met some people that have, stood up to city council and all that stuff. And what they're saying is, I get it. I really do. But sometimes council can't do anything about it. And it would take a lot of money to do it. It just, their hands are tied. They can't do anything. And I think if people understood that, a lot of things would be understood. But not everybody takes the time to go, oh, this is the budget. Oh,
yeah.
How can we fix that?
Of course, there's
well,
always
we
budget
can raise
problems.
taxes. Nobody wants that, But it's a thing of life.
I'm going to vote for you.
Yeah,
already you've convinced me.
Yeah.
Robby,
I have this thing
2021.
with I don't if you ever Fernie Quiros. We went to high school together.
I love Fernie.
And he's like, Robby, you should run for council. Let's run together. And I'm like, dude, I am not going to run. I'm going to do.
He lives in the counties though.
Yeah, he lives by my friend Sissy.
Yeah, he lives in the counties. I went to a meeting where people were trying to get him to run, and he's like, I live in the counties. I can't even run for city council.
Yeah, I've known Fernie for a long time. Went to U of A together. So
he's a great guy.
Oh yeah,
another people person, very passionate about the people in the community. So shout out to Fernie. You better be listening to this, Fernie.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Anyway, I just want to say something. I want to be on the Caballeros one day.
Oh yeah. Okay.
That's kind of a vision of mine, and we have a similar process. Me and you.
Well, funny thing you say that, because it was on my phone. As another thing that. It's weird. I don't know what it is. Remember how we met at the bank?
That's what
all right. So that's how my life has been, is where I always wanted to be a part of the Caballeros. And the first year I was up there was fire captain Anthony Jacobo was up on the ladder truck resetting the lights for the Midnight at the Oasis. And I had told him, he used to work with me in Somerton. And he goes, hey, Robby, you finally got it, huh? How many years is that? I go, I know. Kind of weird, but Caballeros are you're asked to be on it kind of thing. They interview your family, stuff like that. Great group of guys, very community oriented, and a lot of community hours. Those guys are up to before the sun comes up, and when the sun goes down, working's setting things up. I mean, we have a guy that's over 90. And he's out there
over 90.
Yeah.
He's putting.
He's the oldest Caballero.
Putting in those hours, serving his community,
still doing it. And,
it's kind of a little bit of the who's who of Yuma in a way, because you got to have, a certain reputation.
Well, I mean, I don't know about that, but everybody brings something to the table there, and there's people there's businessmen, there's fire. There's another fire captain. There's a fire captain from Yuma that's on it that I work with very closely on all the things that I do with the Caballeros. There's police officers. There's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
All kinds of people. So.
But you got to have a good reputation in the community. I'm saying there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's something. The reason why I bring it up. So an ex Caballero member told me, he's like, "You'll never be on the Caballeros."
Oh,
and kind of like you, like, oh, you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to do it.
Well, yeah. That's how you have to. And sometimes that could be bad because that's why my mother always says, "Do not tell Robby he can't do anything. Just listen to him and just say, oh, okay."
Okay, yeah. No, this guy told me, no, you'll never do it. You'll never be it. Mm-hmm. And he's a mentor of mine, and I love the guy. And anyway, but he was like, "There's no way, This was like years and years ago, and I come from this Okie town street, so he thought like, "Oh, you're never." But no, I'm pretty determined. I think I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
But So we brought up how we met. I just wanted to cover that real quick because that is my show. We kind of get into stuff like that. But I was told, and it might sound weird, but like this inner knowing, go to the bank right now. Mm-hmm. I swear to you, I was like, well, it's like, no, you need to put this money in the bank. Well, it's like, I want to do this with the money. And it's like, no, put it in the bank and you'll take care of some responsibilities, take care of some bills. So I'm like, okay. So I go, and then I remember one thing that I always do in my life is hold the door open for people. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like a thing where I practice of holding the door open for opportunity.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and I remember I held the door open for you. And then you went in front of me, and then I noticed, like, he's wearing a Curtine shirt. Like, I used to do business for Curtines. Like, they were one of my clients. And so we kind of started up our conversation, and we were talking, and it went from out there, and you were like, well, I'm looking for the person that used to do certain things for Curtines. Mm-hmm. And then we went outside, and we're talking about a commercial that you wanted to do. Yeah. You take it from here.
Well, I mean, I'm as a kid, I always was friends with Alvarez at Beto's Mexican food.
Another great restaurant in Yuma.
And he was friends with my grandfather and my Uncle Joe, and actually went to his Beto's when they had teen night there. And it was a long time ago.
I remember it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I think Oscar Chavez was like the DJ there at the time. And Oscar Chavez is now married to my cousin. Long story. Oh, wow. Great couple. Awesome. Oscar, good people. And so we started talking about this commercial. I wanted to put Al in it, like Beto's Mexican food, but do the same old commercial that if you lived here in Yuma, in the 80s and
you'll recognize
you'll know the commercial. And when, Beto's Al would say, Curtine's Mexican food or something like that. I don't know. I was just kind of thinking about it. And who drives up? Al.
To me, it was a total trip because I saw the license plate first.
Yeah.
I saw, and it said Beto's on it, and I was like, no way.
Yeah.
It's just happening. And I believe things, when people get together and the right connections made, good things manifest.
Oh, yeah.
I strongly believe in that I believe this whole world is energy, right? I can get super weird, but Tesla is one of my idols. And he said, look at the whole world as energy if you want to understand this world. And so I think we kind of had this energy going. And then sure enough, this guy shows up that we were talking about not even a minute before. Yeah. Kind of manifest that quick because that energy was there. But anyway, that was a pretty cool, but that seems to be a theme in your life. And it's also a theme in my life.
Yeah. I was in a meeting one time when I was in Prescott, and the chief of Prescott Fire that just lost 19 firefighters. I was sitting across the table from him and thinking, what is this guy going through? I mean, he just lost 19 firefighters, 19, and Brennan was once the survivor. So I'm sitting across from him, and he has electrical tape on his badge as a shroud. And I said, hey, Chief, can I have your badge? And everybody on our team looks at me like, are you freaking crazy, dude? And I said, hey, Chief.
And again, you get that a lot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I said, Chief, can I have your badge? Yeah, like a kid. Hey, can I have your badge? So he goes, yeah. And he unclips it, hands it to me, and I say, I'll be right back. So I looked at all the senior staff of Prescott Fire, and they all have black electrical tape. So I go downstairs. We're in the I don't know if you've ever been to Prescott, and they have a center, like the courthouse and all this stuff. So I go downstairs. I get shrouds, the proper shrouds, and I go back with a handful, and I take off the tape, and I put the new one on the chief's badge, and I pinned it on his shirt, and I go, "There you go, Chief." And ever since then, I've been to his election thing. He was running for this, but when we were, he always it was funny, and it doesn't sound racist or anything, I don't think, but we did a brown hug, right? So it was me, the Prescott Fire Chief, and one of the Prescott Fire Battalion Chief, JP, which we were good friends, and he goes, "Hey, it's time for brown hug." Because back then you needed hugs. Oh my God.
I bet.
It was crazy. So we would do this brown hug. It was like the only, we were like the only 3 Mexicans in the building, and everybody else was from New York or Houston and all that stuff we were working with. And because the firefighters I was on task with were from FDNY, greatest guys in the world. I mean, they just their accent made me laugh a little bit because, but just stuff like that. It's kind of weird how things happen. And I mean, then you're kind of like life friends because I don't see him all the time, but when I see him, he's like,
there's something there.
He goes, "You put a shroud on my badge, didn't you?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "I remember, how are you?" And I mean, all that comes back like that. So, I mean, it's just certain people make impressions on people that, that never die. So,
and that's a beautiful thing. And it's a particular thing that you recognize that. And that's something, because I recognized that in you and that day when we met, there was there's something here. Like I felt something, and for lack of better words, okay. So let's kind of wrap this up a little bit, because you got the Croutines. Now you got a nightclub. Where do you see yourself? Where's Robby going? What's the next thing that somebody's going to come to you say, "Are you crazy?"
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know.
No, you do know. What's on your phone? Let's go through your phone. What's a picture of that you're going to get?
Not really anything right now.
No, come on. I want it. Okay, we already announced you're running for council in 2021.
No,
I won't yet.
No, that is just something that me and Fernie were joking about. And I think that I really need to concentrate, along with everything that's going on, is my kids made me a birthday cake a while back, and it had all these organizations on it: Bridget's Gift and firefighting and Caballeros de Yuma and all this stuff. And I think my next goal, which I'm trying to right now, is just be a better dad.
Wow.
And it's just, my son's at the age of 11-year-old and a 15-year-old and a 23-year-old, which I'm trying to get him to go back to college to finish his bachelor's degree. He just wants to do everything. But
I can see where he gets that from.
Yeah, he's been listening to me for a while.
Yeah, he wants to take on everything and anything.
I think that role is something I really need to put more into and be that for my kids. I know the restaurant and the nightclub take a lot of time, but I need to make time to listen to them, because they are very expressive, like me, when they say, "Hey, Dad, we haven't seen you in a while, so let's you haven't sat down and talked." And my kids are getting to that age where they need to know certain information.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is something that I really need to concentrate on in the next years, but along with doing all this other stuff. But I'm not a perfect dad, but I am there, but I just need to step it up.
I think that's a beautiful thing. And I think that is definitely a thing. People define success in different ways. And I've had companies, I've had different things. And one of the things that I look back on is like, well, I didn't have the special relationship with my sons. Mm-hmm. And I particularly
it's a different thing with the sons and dads. It's different. Sons and daughters are different too. They have their own kind of connection. And my kids play baseball, and so they're very active in that. And
so get more involved with them.
Yeah, it just it's kind of hard when you're running two businesses and going back and forth, and sometimes you can say, "Oh shoot, I have," because my kids, my dad worked a lot too when we were kids, but we always understood,
And your kids probably understand.
Yeah, they tell me they do, but there's sometimes where they go, "Hey, Dad, let's go to the movies," just you and me. They want that one-on-one time,
of course,
but they don't get. So, but they're very outspoken. They'll tell me exactly how they feel. They get that, I guess, maybe from me, but they'll tell me how they feel.
So being a dad, and I think that's awesome. Just to share something, my son yesterday called. His mother picked him up and called me from the car wanted to show me a rap that he wrote.
Oh yeah,
he's 10 years old.
Okay.
And I wrote my first rap at 10 years old. So it's kind of cool. And then my youngest 6-year-old, he was writing a rap. And after having a business and losing a business and losing a family and kind of losing it all, I was like, wait a minute, this is what's important. Being a dad. And I didn't have the greatest role model as a father, and I don't blame him for anything. But it's like, no, I got to figure this thing out. This is not, I have so many dreams. I manifest so many things, right? Why not manifest being a father,
right?
And like that become a thing. And so every morning I get my kids ready. I'm out there. We got a little basketball hoop. We shoot hoops before school, and I'm just like, okay, I need to make time for this. So I think what you're talking about, I honor that, and I really respect it, man. And it's something that not everybody sees.
Yeah, it just that's one thing I want to as a goal. And it should have been a goal that I mean, if you ask my kids if I'm a bad dad or anything, they would tell you no, that is not true. But sometimes I feel like that way because I'm so involved in so many other things that I think sometimes I take away from that whole dad part. Well, my kids they're good boys, and they're very respectful. They're very involved in the Catholic Church. They are good boys, and any parent will want that for their kids to be good, solid kids. Don't get me wrong; they get in trouble sometimes, but overall, they're really good boys, very caring, very sweet boys. And it just I hope a little bit of that is because they learned that from me. So
I'm sure that's where they got it from, just like you got it from your dad and then the grandfather and everybody that was part of that business. And they're watching you, and they're seeing the honorable decisions that you make and some of the sacrifices that you make. And that's where they're getting it from, because you're the role model. And I think it's great that you want to be more of that.
Yeah. It's just, there's a lot more to do, a lot more to come. It's just, it's going to take some work. And, we're, the team we have here at the Crest and team we have at Cretines is, we have a good solid team, and they're all, for making it better because they know where it's come from. So,
well, hey, thank you very much for doing my show. I appreciate it. I hope you had a good time. And,
well, I mean, I had to run out of here for a second.
Yeah. We'll cut that part out.
Oh, okay.
Nobody will know, but yeah. So when they see the cut, it's like, Robby
had to go to the bathroom.
Robby had to use the bathroom. But thank you. I really appreciate you. And I like your vision, man, and continue to manifest. And, and if being a better father is the next thing you need to tackle, I know without a doubt, that's something that you're going to manifest. And that's something that's going to be a part of your life. And you're going to get that down, and then you're going to be mayor and then governor and then probably president one day. So right now, Robby 2045 for president.
Go. Yeah.
Hey, thank you very much. Thanks, and thank you guys for listening. And we appreciate you guys. Leave a rating or review if you listen to this on Apple Podcasts. And you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and all that good stuff. Thank you guys for listening. Goodbye, and God bless.